I have extreme difficulty asking for help. I don't know where it came from. It's just kind of how I've always been. I've worked on it a lot. My parents have definitely, given me a lot of talkings of like, it's okay to ask for help. You're not wrong for asking for help. But I guess I've always been convinced that I'm just bothering people. And the last thing that I want to do is to bother someone. I don't want to impose my struggles onto someone else and inconvenience them. I don't know. I don't know why that is. But something that has helped me way more than anything else in my life is actually going to therapy. Now, I should clarify right now that therapy is not the answer for everyone. My experience with therapy may not be what your experience with therapy is going to be, and it may not be the right thing for you. It didn't even cross my mind in elementary school, middle school, high school. It wasn't until I got to college where I was in a relationship with someone and it wasn't what I wanted. And this was a weird feeling because I had convinced myself for the longest time that once I was in a relationship with someone, that everything would be great and I would feel okay about everything and I would just be super happy. I was convinced that my happiness needed to be derived from a relationship, from another person. I just had built up this expectation that everything was going to be amazing. And it wasn't. There were great moments, but there were times where things sucked too, and that kind of surprised me. This may seem like an obvious conclusion to some of you, but for me, it was sort of a wake-up call. Like I said, I had never considered therapy before. I, however, was fortunate that the college that I went to, Emerson College, had a counseling program option that people could do. And so I scheduled a session and I went, and the first session that I went to did not solve everything. Absolutely not. However, it sparked the change that I needed to make for myself. I don't want to get too cheesy or too cliche, but it kind of provided me with the startings of a roadmap to figure out what made me feel best and to figure out really who I was as a person. I went to therapy a couple times after that. Emerson was great, but unfortunately getting an appointment was very difficult. So I was lucky enough to get maybe once a month. And it wasn't until the end of college, really after college, that's when I found my own therapist outside of the school. I guess the way that I find it helpful is I get to go and talk to someone and really air it all out without any boundaries and get some feedback on it without feeling the need to return the favor for that person. One thing that I've noticed about myself is, like I said, I don't like bothering people. I don't like asking for help. And one of that is because I feel like there's an exchange that needs to go on. And I've learned now that I know that that's not the case, that every interaction you have with someone is not a transaction. It's not like you have to give something to get something. And so for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been going to therapy once a week. Now I'm down to pretty much once every other week, but it's been amazing. Initially going to therapy, I thought that it was only for people who were broken. And I realize now that it's not about being broken or unbroken or fixed or whatever. It's more just getting feedback on something that you've been going through that you might be scared to tell even your closest relatives or closest loved ones. It's an opportunity to go and meet with someone who is a trained professional that understands the brain and understands how people think. And I don't know if there's anything that I've found that has beaten that. Not even the benefits of getting exercise, or I've tried medication before, meditation. Those are fine and they work, but it doesn't really equal the effect of going to therapy for me. I'm passionate about this issue. I know that it's extremely difficult to find a therapist, and it's extremely weird to just talk about mental health in general. So I wanted to figure out a way that I could give back and help people that need help. So my friend Briana Callahan, who was on this channel before, you might recognize her from this video, she got together with me, and together we started a podcast called Out of Network. Out of Network is all about removing the stigma from talking about mental health and at least trying to provide some help to some people. There's an option to call in or to email or even to use the Anchor app to submit your own voice response. And
Hello.
Basically, every single week we cover a topic and we'll listen to people's struggles or situations involving that topic. Our first episode is all about living at home with your parents, something that I know a lot about. And Briana provides her expert opinion, and then I try to play catch up and ask follow-up questions to those expert opinions.
So I think it's super interesting also how he says how he feels like he's not where he's supposed to be in life because he's living at his parents'. And that sort of goes into this whole rabbit hole of like comparing yourself and looking where other people are at.
I'm really excited about this podcast. I know everyone and their mothers has a podcast, but I knew if I wanted to make one that it should be something that had a purpose and it wasn't just two people vamping. This is not two people vamping, at least I try and edit it down so we're not vamping. It's just a resource that I want to be out there to help people. Please go check out that podcast. I hope you enjoy it and would love to hear your feedback down below. Now, the biggest roadblock for therapy, I understand, is insurance and being covered under your insurance. There is one resource, however, that I know of that is available to everyone in the United States, regardless of your insurance or not. And it's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I'm just reading it here so I get it right. It's 1-800-273-8255, and they're available 24 hours a day. Now, from what I understand, it's not just a hotline for people with suicidal thoughts. You can call them if you're feeling extremely anxious or if you're feeling depressed or really, if you have nowhere else to turn. It's a resource and it's a place where you can get help. I understand that that's not something that people can rely on a consistent basis, but it is a resource that is available, and please use it if you think you even have an inch or a tiny little bit of needing that help. If you are covered by insurance, there is a resource called Psychology Today that I'll put a link as well as links to other stuff in the description and on the screen probably. And I actually use that to find my therapist lately. They're not sponsoring me by any means, but you can look at therapists around your area. You can look at their availability, what insurance they take. And it's not always going to be perfect. There's sometimes issues with it saying one thing and then they actually don't take that insurance or something like that. But it is somewhere to start. Finding a therapist is extremely hard. I know I've gone through it, and I know other people have gone through it as well. There's nothing bigger blocking you from getting a therapist than your own brain. Because I know that there's tons of excuses people have, like, oh, well, I don't have the time to find them, I don't have the availability to find them, so on and so forth. Think of it this way. If you've ever gone to the doctor, or if you've ever gotten a checkup or a flu shot or anything like that, it's the same thing. This is just getting a checkup or getting a physical for your brain. But my suggestion, and I'm speaking just through experience here, by no means am I qualified by any professional board or whatever, is to just give it a try if you have the option. There are therapists that do nighttime appointments, really early appointments in the middle of the day. They do weekends. It's gonna vary depending on where you live, of course, but there are options out there. Let me know if you struggle with mental health, if you struggle with anxiety or with depression or anything like that. I know some of these things can be heavy, so you're not required to share anything, but I'd love to make the conversation about this stuff less taboo. And as always, please subscribe if you haven't already. It helps my channel grow. You can support me on Patreon by going to patreon.com/slackerstuff. And for $5 a month, I will give you basically an inside look at what's coming up, what I've done, so on and so forth. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.